If your product doesn't learn with AI, you're already losing sales and customers. Adobe tracked this past Black Friday and found that retailers that turned on AI chatbots lifted conversion rates 9% overnight, while stores that stuck to static sites fell behind. Across industries, companies modernizing processes with AI are now posting 2.5 times faster revenue growth than peers that are still shipping these dumb products. Today, I'll show you the simplest upgrade path. Give your product a brain that adapts to each user and know exactly when to keep that brain on a leash. So stick around, because in 5 minutes, you'll have the exact same framework that the Fortune 500 is using to decide which features get AI and which stay rock solid. I'll break it down with real numbers, 2 short stories, and a checklist that you can copy for your own roadmap. Meet Pantry Pro. It's a cooking app that researchers tested on 319 home chefs. Version A of it was pre-programmed. Version B watched what you cooked. It learned your spice tolerance, and it suggested new dishes on the fly. That shift was tiny in the code, but was huge in behavior. Usage jumped from 42.6% to 66.3% in 1 week. This is using an adaptive application. In other words, it adapts to the users using AI. Now, when users asked why they preferred the adaptive version, they scored that version creativity at a 3.99 versus a 2.70 for the static one. They didn't care that it was less predictable. They loved that it kept on surprising them with dinners that fit their pantry. Across 6 studies in smart fridges, toothbrushes, voice assistants, and that cooking app, high adaptivity beat low adaptivity in preference. In other words, applications that used AI to adapt themselves to a user situation were always preferred. Now, this happened every single time when the product's outcome range was wide. Think about cooking. Well, there's a wide range of possibilities there. Now, let's take a different case. Let's picture a smart lock. In that same academic research paper, testers flipped the algorithms around. One lock learned your patterns and occasionally tweaked its authentication routine. The other ran the same check every single time. Now, suddenly, creative felt reckless. Now, I can tell you, if I had a lock that changed its behavior, that would make me insane. Participants trusted the fixed routine lock, just like I would, far more, scoring it as safer and choosing it for their own front doors. Now, the rule that surfaced is pretty simple. If you have a wide outcome range, you dial up adaptivity. In other words, you add more AI that can change the possible results. If you've got a narrow, high-risk range, you dial it down and you explain everything to the user. Now, what happens when the stakes are high and the outcome range is wide? Now, that's possible, right? The stakes are high. It's something that could be really risky, but a lot of different things could happen. Like, take self-driving. Now, another follow-up research study added the "why I made that turn" display to an adaptive driving simulator. In other words, it was a pretend autonomous car, and it would explain its reasoning. Why did it make a turn? Trust scores for that learning algorithm jumped 40%. It went from 3.96 to 5.57, and the transparency, the explanation that converted fear into fascination, like, ooh, check it out. It's actually making a decision. Now, real-world numbers back all of this up. Colgate's AI toothbrush line, which coaches your brushing in real time, outsold their static brushes in the first year on shelves and now anchors the brand's premium tier. Microsoft and IDC found that every dollar poured into this adaptive, generative style of AI is returning $3.70 in value across software and consumer electronics launches. So it's actually leading to real revenue. BCG, Boston Consulting Group, sees retailers using AI-driven pricing beating manual rivals on margin and on market share. Some research is also showing that AI-assisted sales funnels can pull up to 50% more leads than using traditional scripts. I'm going to give you a formula to apply this in your business next, but if you want to see how I use AI to predict what marketing will work and do it before I spend a penny on ads, check out my software, Atomized.ai. It uses a swarm of AI agents that behave like real people to see if your prospects will buy from your ads before you even launch your ads. Okay, you've heard the research. Now let's turn it into money. There's a simple 5-step game plan that you can hand to your product and growth teams this afternoon. Step 1, list the moments that shape revenue. So grab a whiteboard and sketch every place that your product meets a customer. It could be search results or checkout, or it could be upsells. It could be push notifications, wherever it is. McKinsey's latest global AI survey shows that companies earn the biggest jumps in revenue when they focus their first AI efforts on these money moments, not on back office tinkering. So think about that first. Now, step 2 is to pick one moment where variety matters and build a tiny little learning version. Think of that recipe app. A single AI feature lifted weekly use from 42% to 66%. It's because it kept dinner suggestions fresh. So you should look to do the same thing. Swap a static recommendation list for a model that learns from each click. So you keep the original version live so you can compare it, and then you can see, is this working for you? Now, step 3 is you show users what the AI just noticed. Remember that self-driving car study? When the stakes feel risky, whether it's payments or driving directions or anything involving money or safety, people trust the system only if they see its reasoning. Another McKinsey review found that clear explanations turn the black box from a threat into a selling point. It becomes interesting. And that recent autonomous driving study cut fear almost in half by adding that one sentence rationale on the dashboard. So borrow that trick. Add a quick, here's why we suggested this note right next to each AI decision. Now, step 4 is you run a 28-day head-to-head test. Flip the learning version on for, say, 20% of traffic or 20% of users and watch what happens. Feature flag tools make this literally a toggle switch and let you roll back in seconds if something isn't working the way that you want to. Track the metric that matters. It could be checkout value, subscription starts, whatever pays the bills. And step 5, roll out the winner and make a lot of noise about it. If the adaptive version beats the old one, even by 5%, push it to 100% of users. IDC finds that every dollar firms pour into customer-facing AI is returning about $3.70 in value right now. BCG says that retailers using AI-driven pricing are already pulling ahead of manual rivals on both margin and market share. So you should do the same. Tell customers the product learned with them, and you'll lock in the perception of creativity that the studies proved drives customer preference. Follow these 5 steps, and you've got a clear, testable path from, that's kind of interesting research, to a measurable revenue lift. Staying up to date with AI and technology is critical, but don't forget, your team still matters. Building a thriving business means balancing data and systems, technology, and people. In my next video right here, I'll show you exactly how to build a high-performing team of A players that works alongside your smart systems and that drive real results and real revenue.